Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm films. And that was Children of Nippon. So this is an early film, probably from the 20s. Not quite sure of the footage, and this is from the Mogul Brothers collection. You could tell that the ending credits were tacked on. The end was definitely from a different film stock, but yeah, so probably some travelogue footage that was cut up, and they put in some intertitles. That's kind of how Mogul Brothers ran. So behind me I've got I'm getting better at this. Yeah, just basically go against my anything to. Okay, so anyways, I got a film scanner set up, and we're gonna watch a film about Buffalo newspapers. Enjoy.
This is Buffalo, the second largest city in New York State. Strategically located at the eastern end of Lake Erie, it early was given the title of the Queen City of the Lakes. Buffalo is a bustling community and serves as the hub of the Niagara frontier. Its dynamic development results from an unusual diversity of industry. Its harbor is the sixth largest Great Lakes port of imports and exports, and it is the gateway for traffic to and from the west. Buffalo's railroad yards handle tremendous tonnage annually. Its flour mills produce more flour than Minneapolis and Kansas City combined. An institution which, since 1880, has played a leading role in Buffalo's development is the Buffalo Evening News. The success of a newspaper depends on many things: integrity, just plain honesty, service in the cause of good government, skilled craftsmen, reporters and editors devoted to their calling. That the Buffalo Evening News has these is evidenced by the confidence of its readers, for the News enjoys the largest daily circulation of any New York State newspaper outside metropolitan New York. The hub of the News is in the editorial department. News from the four quarters of the globe here passes under the scrutiny of experts who select it, edit it, and by adding headlines and subheads, prepare it for publication. Here in this nerve center, moments after big news happens anywhere in the world, the story is received on teletype machines, and then the news editorial staff begins working on the story. Gathering news is a never-ending process. 300,000 words of national and worldwide news flow into the wire room daily from the world's greatest news-gathering agencies. The city editor's desk is the focal point for local news coverage. Stories come continually from the many reporters who cover regular beats. Other stories are assigned by department editors. Every possible lead is followed, for a news story must present facts completely, accurately, and on top of that, it is the responsibility of reporters to get behind the facts and to explain what they mean. Here, a photographer is dispatched to get a picture to supplement the reporter's story. As deadlines for the 8 daily editions of the News come up, stories pour in from all sources. Yet the competent editors are quiet and poised. It is a scene of intense but orderly activity. From the field, the reporter often saves precious time by dictating his story to a typist or telling a rewrite man. It then goes to the city editor, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, or if time presses, sentence by sentence. A great newspaper such as the News, with its finger on the pulse of the area, has an obligation to honestly and factually interpret affairs.
Thus it becomes the conscience of the community. Over the years, the Buffalo Evening News, concerned about the welfare of the community it serves, has fought for improvements, both physical and cultural. Long ago, the monument in Niagara Square in memory of President McKinley was erected through the efforts of the News. In education, the News not only fights for good schools, but also for adequate training for teachers, and from the old Buffalo Normal School has developed the State College for Teacher Education. And the News played an outstanding role in promoting the growth of the University of Buffalo, which is now a part of the state university system. Even bumpy roads such as this are being repaired or replaced under News prodding, for the News recognizes the need of adequate and comfortable highways for transportation. The News played an important part in bringing the thruway into downtown Buffalo, when it was discovered original plans call for bypassing the city. Facilities for recreation have had News support from the days when it helped wrest Niagara Falls from private commercial interests on through to the establishment and expansion of the great Erie County Park System. The News played a major role in the establishment of a county-wide library system. Back in the days of streetcars, the Buffalo Public Library was already bulging with books. Not only was the library trying to serve Buffalo residents, but also residents of Erie County. When the suggestion for merging the Buffalo Library with those of Erie County communities was made, the News thoroughly investigated the proposal and brought the facts before the people. Now, books of every nature are available throughout the entire county, and in addition, the old Central Library and Grosvenor Reference Library have been replaced by this new, modern building. The Buffalo Evening News ever has been alert in recognizing community problems. The News was the first to call attention to what could result from that strange new development, suburbanitis. An exodus of residents from the central city to surrounding towns was beginning. Unoccupied buildings in the downtown area were being demolished, but the News pressed for urban renewal and downtown development. At an editorial conference, the chief editorial writer reports on his daily conference with the editor of the News. It was from such conferences that research was started which resulted in the News, years ago, supporting such community projects as converting the city hospital into a county-wide hospital, placing the health and social welfare departments under county jurisdiction, and finally vigorously advocating the reorganization of county government under an executive setup. Not only through the written word, but also through cartoons, taxpayers are given a realistic approach to the problems confronting city, state, and nation by Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist Bruce Shanks. Another campaign spotlighting the Erie County welfare situation won another Pulitzer Prize. But back to the production of your evening newspaper. Copy prepared by editorial staff is fed to the composing room, where it is distributed to skilled linotype operators who set it into type, a line at a time. The type goes to an assembly bank, where several operators may be setting parts of the same story. Here the type is assembled. Then proofs are pulled so that proofreaders may research for errors, and then the makeup men put the type in place on the page. Advertisements with illustrations and text are carefully fitted into place, and the page, which represents the efforts of many, is put together. But this type actually never goes on the printing presses. To make possible high-speed printing on rotary presses, curved press plates are needed. These are prepared by the stereotypers in the stereotype room. There a mold, a matrix of tough paper, is prepared by pressing it into the type under 2,000 pounds of pressure. This faithfully records and reproduces every letter, every tiny dot on a photo engraving from which pictures are reproduced. mats are rushed to the casting department, where stereotypers fit the page mats against a curved form into which molten lead is poured. In a matter of seconds, an exact lead image or reproduction, a cast or plate, is ready to be trimmed to precise dimensions. An automatic shaper trims the press plate to hairline mechanical requirements and washes and cools the plate. From this point, it moves to the press room on an automatic conveyor. The pressmen at each press lock them on cylinders. After the final page has been received, it is a matter of moments before the presses are ready to roll. From composing room to the presses takes less than 15 minutes. These giant mechanical marbles, 3 stories high, weighing 2,000 tons, can print 52,000 96-page papers every hour. In a single day, 5,000 miles of newsprint may pass through these high-speed presses, a strip of paper long enough to stretch to San Francisco and back. When the end of one of the 1,600-pound rolls of paper is reached, without slowing the presses, a new roll of paper automatically turns into position and is pasted to the depleted reel. From various sections of the whirling presses, the paper is channeled into folders, which cut and fold the printed sheets into pages, sections, and the complete newspaper. The presses can be adjusted to slant every 25th or 50th paper, so that as they reach the mailroom, the handlers can assemble bundles of the desired size for distribution to stores, newsstands, and carrier boys. By conveyor belt, the papers move quickly to the mailroom or distribution center. This is the only time the papers are handled until they reach the delivery trucks. Deft hands make up bundles. They pass through this machine, which binds each stack with wire, and then it is pushed down one of the 4 spiral chutes to the truck loading platform. Even the loading process is automatic. Controlling the flow of bundles to the truck, this man, by the flip of a switch, can designate the route the bundles take as they come from the chute. The papers arrive in the delivery truck, ready for distribution to newsstands, carriers, stores, and other dealers throughout Buffalo, western New York, and nearby Pennsylvania. Day after day, news, informative and interpretive articles, items for the whole family's entertainment, flow through the presses of the Buffalo Evening News and on into homes where readers are kept well informed on events happening locally, throughout the state and nation, and around the world. Because it is dedicated to the highest standards of journalism, the Buffalo Evening News is regarded by journalists, businessmen, educators, and students as one of America's great newspapers.
Speed presentation. Yeah, I like that production company. So, that's something to kind of think about. The fact that most cities had some sort of production company that did films. Either did advertising or they did promotional films or, shot a wide variety of different things. And there were film labs in most cities. Most TV stations, of course, had film labs because, that's what they do is they would shoot the film and then process it and the film would be ready at 11. So there's that. How am I feeling today? What do I want to see? Sound and how it travels. Enjoy.
It's another fine day at the beach. But for Sue and Steve, it's not an ordinary day. Their vacation is coming to an end. Steve wants to remember everything just as it is, what he sees around him, and especially the different sounds of summertime. Some high, some low, some loud, some soft. So soft you have to listen carefully to hear them. And here is a vacation sound you can take home with you. Sue has a seashell in which she says you can hear the roar of the ocean. There are so many sounds to remember. All summer, Tommy's been learning to play the guitar. He ought to know something about sound. Maybe he can explain it to them. First, Steve wants to ask him how sound is made. Just using his guitar, Tommy can show how all sounds are made. That's right, every kind of sound, high or low, loud or soft, is made in the same way. Watch. Do you see how the string is moving? When we look at this closely, we see a steady movement back and forth again and again. That movement is called vibration, and vibration is the cause of all sound. The sounds of a guitar, the sounds of birds or boats, they are all made by vibration. When something vibrates to make a sound, it moves the air around it, much as a stone moves water when you drop it in a pool. This is how the vibrations of sound travel through the air to our ears. It takes time for these vibrations to travel. Sometimes we can see how much time it takes for sound to move through the air. We can see a ship blowing its whistle out there in the bay, but we can't hear it until the wave of sound vibration has traveled to our ears. Sue notices that even after she has turned her head away, she can still hear the whistle. When a boat goes out of sight, will she still be able to hear it as if nothing were in the way? Sue hears it because sound waves, just like these ripples of water, change direction or bounce back when they strike against something. If sound travels through air, will it also travel through water? Let's try a little experiment to find out. Steve's a good swimmer, so he will go underwater to listen, while Sue will hold her stones underwater and hit one against the other like this. Hey, it works! Steve got a little wet, but he and Sue discovered something. Sound does travel through water. Tommy has another idea. There are more ways to find out about sound. Let's use this fence to discover if sound will travel through wood as well as water. For this experiment, Sue moves all the way down here. Ready? Set, go. Hey, that was loud. Sue discovers that sound not only travels through wood, but is louder than sound traveling through air. We can use the fence to demonstrate something else about sound. Listen to the noise the stick is making. Now listen to what happens when Steve holds the stick this way. Notice how much higher it sounds when the stick is held shorter? Steve sees an interesting gait. Will the short pickets sound higher than the long ones? Tommy says he can do the same thing with his guitar. When he picks this string, it sounds like this. How do you suppose the same string will sound when he holds it down here? When Tommy shortens the string by holding it down, it vibrates faster. And when vibration is faster, the sound it makes is higher. The same way Steve's stick made a different sound when he held it in a different way. When Tommy lets the whole string vibrate, the sound is lower because the vibration is slower. But as he shortens the string, the vibrations become shorter and faster, and the sound becomes higher. Tommy knows a lot about the guitar, but what is he up to now with this drum? Tommy asks them to watch carefully. Maybe they'll see something unusual. He says he can make the sand dance to his music. Can you see it? When this tone is played near the drum begins to vibrate too. Steve and Sue were surprised to learn that this is the way we hear sounds. Inside each of our ears, a stretched piece of skin, called an eardrum, vibrates to all the sounds we hear. And see how the outer ear is shaped like a funnel to help gather sounds from the world around us. The sounds of music, the sounds of nature, sounds that warn us, sounds that teach and tell.
Get slow ahead, starboard, hard port.
All of these sounds are made by vibration. Vibration that travels out in all directions. Sound takes time to travel from one place to another, but it can be heard even when we can't see what is making the sound. Steve and Sue found out that sound moves through water as well as through wood, and we learned that length has a lot to do with whether a sound is high or low. The day is almost ended. Now it's time to go. Sue is going to take her shell home with her. The sound she hears isn't the ocean after all, but it will help her to remember this vacation at the beach and what she and Steve learned about the sounds around us.
Love it. Folk singing dad. Fun vacation. Good times. But while we're talking about vacation, let's talk about the work of the kidneys. Because they never go on vacation. Or in theory, they're not supposed to. Enjoy.
An egg machine, by rejection and selection, assembles a fairly uniform product. By similar complicated processes, the kidneys maintain uniformity in blood and tissues. The urinary system of man consists of paired kidneys, each provided with a large artery and a large vein. The ureter carries urine from each kidney to the bladder, which in turn is emptied by way of the urethra. When a kidney is sliced open, we see the region which contains thousands of minute collecting tubes which empty urine into this central cavity. The urine is actually formed in this outer region. The unit which forms urine is microscopic. A small artery leads to a capillary tuft. Surrounding this tuft is the closed end of a long, tortuous tubule. The blood, leaving the capillary tuft, flows in this vessel to the tubule, where it divides into many capillaries, which finally converge into a vein. There are about 1 million of these minute functional units in each human kidney. In this cup, the glomerulus, urine formation starts with filtration of certain blood constituents. This filtration can be demonstrated with a reservoir, tube, and membrane. Water slowly filters through. By raising the bottle, thereby increasing the pressure, water filters through more rapidly. The blood pressure in the kidney similarly forces fluid through the glomerular membrane. When we add a colored salt to the water, the salt passes through the membrane as shown by the dark filtered fluid. The membrane is permeable to this and similar small molecules. But within this liquid, there are the large molecules of a black dye which do not filter through, just as the glomerular membrane holds back large molecules like the proteins of normal blood. In somewhat the same way, this gravel sifter lets small particles through, but holds back large ones. In living membranes, this selective process is called semi-permeability. By manipulation of extremely small pipettes under a microscope, we secure for chemical analysis a sample of the fluid from the glomerular cup. In this fluid, salts, urea, and sugar are in the same concentration as in the blood plasma, but there are normally no proteins. Glomerular fluid is essentially a protein-free filtrate of the plasma. We shall now take a sample at the end of the tubule. In comparing its composition with that of the glomerular filtrate, we find that all the sugar has been reabsorbed. The great concentration of salts, and especially of urea, points to a very large reabsorption of water. More than 95% of the water filtered by the glomeruli is reabsorbed into the blood by the tubules, especially near the far end. Normally, all the sugar is taken out of the filtrate by the tubular cells and is returned to the blood. Urea and other waste products of metabolism are not reabsorbed. Hence, these are greatly concentrated in the urine. These processes, and in fact many others not shown in this simplified diagram, go on simultaneously in the healthy kidney. When we balance the urine against an equal volume of glomerular filtrate, the urine is heavier. This shows that the filtrate has been concentrated. We will study on this anesthetized animal some factors affecting urine formation. We have inserted a collecting tube into each ureter. We record each drop of urine on this moving paper. This gives us the rate of urine formation. The pressure of the blood in the animal's artery is transmitted through a tube to this mercury manometer, which also records on the moving paper. This record shows normal blood pressure and normal in this animal. We have withdrawn a quart of blood from the animal. This causes a fall in the blood pressure. Note that the rate of urine formation is decreased, for with lowered blood pressure, less fluid is filtered through the glomeruli. In another anesthetized animal, we inject urea, an end product of protein metabolism. The urine flow is increased. The kidneys remove the excess urea, thus helping to keep the blood composition constant. This takes more water from the blood, hence more urine is produced. A living kidney, even though removed from the body, when perfused with blood, continues for some time to secrete urine in a limited way. Urine formation is essentially controlled by chemical and physical factors in the blood, acting on the living kidney cells, a masterpiece of evolutionary achievement. We have anesthetized 2 dogs of equal size and are collecting the urine from each. The rate of flow is the same. Into a vein of the animal on the right, we inject a sugar solution. Observing the flow of the urine out of these tubes, we see that the rate of urine formation in the experimental animal on the right is much greater than in the control animal. After a few hours, the difference in urine volumes emphasizes this fact. We now take 2 samples, one from each beaker, and test them for sugar. The test shows sugar in the experimental dog's urine on the right, but none in that of the control animal. In the latter, all the sugar that filtered through the glomeruli was reabsorbed by the tubules. In the experimental dog, some of the excess blood sugar is washed out of the body. Excess salts in the blood, like table salt, are removed in a similar manner. Also, by forming an alkaline urine, the kidneys are herbivorous and the essential neutrality of the blood. While in carnivorous animals, the acidifying effect of the diet is counterbalanced by the formation of an acid urine. The kidneys also control the amount of water in the body. On normal water intake and on excess water intake, the same amounts of water are lost in 24 hours through the lungs and through the sweat glands. But the excess water is removed by the kidneys as dilute urine, illustrated on the right. Compare the water loss under normal temperature and under high temperature, while keeping the water intake the same in both cases. A man exposed to high temperature loses much more water through the skin by sweating, and less through the kidneys. Here we have 2 young littermate rats. With the experimental rat anesthetized, we shall remove one kidney. 2 months later, both rats are equally healthy and vigorous. The normal kidney has a margin of safety in not working to its and in its capacity to regenerate. This stop-motion photography shows the gradual filling of the bladder with urine. The musculature of the bladder and of the internal sphincter are controlled by these nerves. When the bladder is distended by urine, nerve impulses from the bladder pass to the spinal cord and brain, starting nerve impulses which relax the sphincters and cause contraction of the bladder muscles, which forces out the urine. In the newborn, this control occurs almost exclusively through the spinal cord. Voluntary control through the brain develops gradually through experience. The functioning of the kidneys in keeping a balanced composition of blood and tissues is somewhat analogous to the action of the gyroscope. The gyroscope, once set in motion, maintains its dynamic balance against external forces. Continuous kidney action similarly maintains a balanced composition of blood and tissues in face of the reverse influences of the processes of living in health and disease.
As many people pointed out, when a kidney goes on vacation, then that's a serious health problem. All right, I got another film set up on the scanner. Let's go to Peru, everybody. Enjoy.
In the vast continent of South America, there are many places and people and ways of life. Some are very familiar to us. Others are strange to our eyes. This is the story of one of our Latin American neighbors, the story of Peru and its people today.
My name is Mamerto Levita, and I live in a village called Chincheros in the high mountains of Peru. From where I sit high above the valley, I can see the life of my people going on around me. In Chincheros, the people are mostly farmers. The land is not very good, and so we have to work hard to make things grow. Even the little children must help. We have no machines, you see. Our tools have been the same for hundreds of years. We tend our sheep and raise our crop, and I guess we have done this ever since Chincheros began. When we are not working, we are going to school. I enjoy to go to school. My teacher is the only one in Chincheros who speaks Spanish. Everybody else speaks the language given to us by our Indian ancestors, the Incas. I hope that I will be able to learn Spanish so that someday I can go to a big city like Cusco. Every morning the train to Cusco goes through our valley and up over the mountains. I have never been beyond the mountains, but maybe someday.
Beyond the mountains of Mamerto's Valley lies the rest of Peru, a country full of variety. It is the third largest country in South America, roughly the shape of California, but 3 times larger. Peru is bordered by Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile, and the Pacific Ocean. The country itself can be divided into 3 areas. Next to the Pacific Ocean is a long, narrow strip of desert,
On it is found most of the country's industry and agriculture and major cities. For miles and miles, the only sign of life in this arid land is the Pan American Highway, which runs the length of Peru. Deep in the interior of Peru is a land of tropical forest and jungle where few people live. This is the Montaña, and it is just beginning to be developed for its agricultural, forest, and mineral resources. Forming the backbone of Peru are the towering Andes Mountains, with snow-covered peaks of 20,000 feet or more. 60% of Peru's people live and work here, often at heights greater than our own Rocky Mountains. The village of Chincheros, where Mamerto and his family live, is in the Andes, about 40 miles from the city of Cusco. Although it is only a few hours by train from Chincheros to Cusco, Mamerto has never seen the city, and his father has been there only once. Cusco, which stands at a height of 11,500 feet, is the largest city in the Peruvian mountains. Its old churches and palaces are reminders that the city once belonged to the Spanish. Today, however, Cusco is a quiet town, inhabited mostly by Indians. The Cusco market is a center of mountain trade. Indians come from the countryside, buy and sell a great variety of products. Pottery to be used for cooking or carrying water. Brightly colored dyes, which will go into the making of rugs and ponchos. A visit to the market is a holiday for most of the Indians, who live a solitary life in the mountains. Cusco is the former capital of the great Inca Empire, and even today, much of the city stands on great stone foundations built by the Incas. Huge stones fitted together without cement were used in the building of forts, temples, and cities. Not far from Cusco is the amazing lost city of the Incas, Machu Picchu. It stands on the edge of the jungle, protected by sheer cliffs that drop to rushing rivers 1,000 feet below. Machu Picchu is a monument to a great civilization, a civilization that with the coming of the Spaniards disappeared from the face of the earth.
Once upon a time, an Inca chieftain sat here and looked out over my valley, and a dozen Indians carved the steps in this rock. At least that is what I like to think, for the Incas were in my village also. If it were not for them, we wouldn't have the potato, our most important food. We wouldn't have choclo or Indian corn. It is another food that the Incas grew and gave to the world. We must thank the Incas for many things. They developed the llama, a kind of camel with a soft, shaggy coat that keeps him warm all the time. Llamas can walk easily on the high mountain trails as they carry things to the market. That is important to us because we have few roads. While tending llamas on the hillsides, we often pass the time by playing the flute. Here in Chincheros, we have to entertain ourselves, and we do. There is always time for a little fun, or time to sit and look out over the valley. That is Mother calling. I must go now. Time to take lunch to my father in the field. I had better hurry or he will be angry. My mother waits at the front door of our house with my father's lunch. My father works in the field all day. It is hard work, so he is always happy with the lunch I bring him. My mother spends much of her time weaving things to sell at the market. I know that she thinks a lot about my sister Maria. Maria left home 2 years ago and went to work in the city of Lima.
This is Lima, the capital of Peru. It is the 5th largest city in South America, with over 1 million inhabitants. Francisco Pizarro, the Spanish explorer, founded Lima in 1535. It quickly became a showplace of Spanish wealth and culture. Carved wooden balconies adorned the richest palaces, balconies that would last for hundreds of years in Lima's practically rainless climate. The first university in South America was founded here in 1551. The University of San Marcos was in operation almost 70 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. Lima's cathedral was, and is today, the center of the Roman Catholic religion in Peru. Most of the people in Peru are Catholics. The President's Palace stands on the Plaza de Armas, where Pizarro first proclaimed Lima a city. For 300 years, Peru belonged to the Spanish, but today it is a free and independent nation. The 22-story Ministry of Education building is a symbol of Lima today, a city that is growing up. There are new apartments to house the rapidly swelling population, and modern churches, and wide streets, and stores which carry the latest merchandise. The people who live in Lima dress, act, and live very much as we do in our big cities. Although now and then there are some unusual sights to be seen. Lima's outdoor market is a busy, noisy place where there is a colorful variety of goods to be bought. You can buy a hat for protection from the hot desert sun, or get your shoes repaired on Shoemaker's Row. Or you can eat a typical dish from the coast of Peru, raw fish with lemon juice and hot peppers. Lima's many new industries and factories have been largely responsible for the city's recent growth and will play a strong role in Peru's future. It is in one of these factories that Mamerto's sister, Maria, works.
I am Maria Levita, and this is the factory where I work, the big American shirt factory in Lima. I came to this city almost 2 years ago with 3 brothers. We left Chincheros to look for a better life here in the city. The shirt factory is owned by North Americans, but only people from Peru work here. We make shirts for the people of my country. I am very happy here at the factory. There is a cafeteria that serves good food. During lunch hour, my friends and I often play volleyball together. Then on weekends, it is only a 20-minute ride on the trolley car to the port of Callao. The beach there is a very popular vacation place. And on weekends, it is crowded with people who have come from Lima for a swim in the ocean.
Callao is Peru's major port and the center of the country's shipping activity. Here, Peru sends out her products to other lands and takes in the supplies that she needs. Callao is also the home of Peru's fast-growing fishing industry. Anchovies and many other varieties of fish are brought to the port for processing and canning. The port of Callao serves as a gathering place for products from all parts of Peru. Most of the country's important agricultural products come from the coast. There's corn, rice, and sugar to eat. Cotton to be made into clothing for the people of Peru. Cotton is grown in the irrigated coastal valleys near Lima. It is Peru's most important crop. It is cultivated in the fields of the northern desert. And corn is grown on the desert also, as well as sugarcane, which the Spanish brought with them to the New World. All of these crops must be carefully irrigated because the land is dry and rainless. Only a few rivers flow down from the mountains. But not all of Peru's wealth is in its agriculture. Just as vital to the country's economy are its mineral resources, its oil, and its metals. Talara on the northern coast is the center of Peruvian oil production. Oil is pumped from beneath the desert and piped to Talara, where it will be refined for use in Peru's machines and automobiles. Peru is very dependent on her resources beneath the ground. High in the Andes at altitudes of 13 to 14,000 feet are some of the richest mineral deposits in the world. Great reserves of copper, lead, zinc, vanadium, gold and silver are to be found at the mining center of Cerro de Pasco. A trip to the mining area is a chance to ride the highest railway in the world. The train takes you on a dizzying ride through 68 tunnels and over 55 bridges to reach a height of 15,806 feet. The train's destination is the town of Arroyo, with its huge smelter. Here, Peru's mineral ores are processed and refined and made ready for the world market. Peru's mineral wealth accounts for almost 50% of the country's earnings in world trade. On the Callao docks, one can often see heavy bars of lead and other minerals ready for export to other countries, ready to contribute to the growth and prosperity of the nation.
Peru is a growing country, and I am proud to be a part of it. Often when work is over, I walk home through the city, my city, and I think that it is a good place to live. For Lima is not content with the old way of doing things. My city is finding new ways of life and progress, and it will soon wake up the whole country.
I wonder what my sister's life is like in the big city. How does the rest of my country look? What kind of work do people do? Things I'd like to know. Someday, I shall see for myself what is over the mountains.
Slowly but surely, civilization is growing around Mamerto and his village, replacing old with new, ancient with modern. Mamerto has not long to wait. One day soon he will see what is over the mountains.
Right. That was great. So McGraw-Hill via Centron. So Centron was a Kansas-based educational film company. And chances are they probably farmed this out to somebody. Wow, I'm looking yellow today. What's going on? Is that better? Purple? Come down like that. Always something. Oh, now I'm yellow again. It says webcam. That'll be probably one of the things I will invest in. Because some of the money that you guys donate, we use for coffee. and you can donate to us via ko-fi.com/avgeeks. But we also invest in things for the infrastructure. So we invest in Google Fiber, and we invest in this software that propagates the stream to different places, and we invest in this nifty tape dispenser and our tape that we use to tape things down. We invest in also webcams, lights, microphones. This is a microphone that we use. Yeah, this is basically a Mac webcam that is just trying to adjust based on whatever, and it's turning me jaundiced yellow. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today. My assistants will be here, but I'm going to be somewhere else tomorrow and the rest of the week. And so I'm going to be doing the show, hopefully from that locale. And we'll have some special guests. And yeah. And somebody also mentioned that they like this shirt. This is from Marmia, which is the Mid-Atlantic Regional Moving Image Archive. Siobhan is the founder of that. And I'm going to put in the comments... Whoops, that's not in the comments. Where you can get this. I did put it in the comments, and now I can't find where they are. Yeah, just look up Marmia t-shirt. No, I'll find it for you. I don't trust you guys, so I do trust you guys, but anyways. Here is the link. This, of course, is from a cassette sleeve, and it has a little Marmia thing at the bottom. So they're a great place to support. We've been helping them with some of their film news footage, but they also digitize a bunch of video, including like episodes of PM Magazine that were regionally made. And stuff like that. And these regional archives are great because they do that. They reach out and they find news broadcasts, they find regional television, they find home movies related to whatever was happening in that area. And so that's my shout out to regional archives. There are several. Marmia is a relatively new one. Northeast Historic Films, which is based in Maine. Tammy, which covers all of Texas. That's the Texas Archive of the Moving Image. They're based in Austin, but they travel all over, and they have found some amazing things. And if you go to their sites, you'll find some pretty interesting films and video that were shot in those regions. And there's others out there. There's not one from North Carolina yet. I'm too busy, but maybe I can coerce someone else to do it. But thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow. Again, hit the thumbs up, the like button, all these weird free things that you can do on your phone or on your device to game the system so that we make the cut for some reason. Yeah, everybody take care, and we will talk soon.